invitamos a todos los asistentes a tomar ubicación en sus asientos. Invitados, les rogamos tomar asiento. Congreso la señora Ministra de Defensa Nacional, Maya.
Please welcome Mrs. Maya Fernandez Allende, Minister of National Defense, and the Mr.
Invitamos a los presentes a entonar nuestro
So we welcome everyone to sing our national anthem.
A continuación, los invitamos.
Now we invite you to watch the opening video of this version summit.
En un mundo donde la exploración
In a world where the exploration and innovation are the motor of progress, the energy is a vast horizon that goes beyond horizon and awakens the imagination of humanity. A new horizon is there for the space industry, and this new summit opened its door to a new era for international relationships and technological development like no other, and together we'll be able to have a brighter future. In the joint work with experts from all over the world will boost this as a whole. Is it opens new opportunities with new solutions for technology. Space Summit 2024, together with this Remote Perception Latin American Week, it's a program that will have lectures and debates for within the space scenario and environment to share information about regulations. Also, space medicine will work. It will be critical for the evaluation of passengers of space trips, among others. In a world that is connected within satellite systems, and explorations will have the opportunity to see new technology solutions and new opportunities of development for the region. The bright minds in the future also gathers in Space Summit 2024 in a training environment with national and international experts that will share the experiences and that will promote the infinite opportunities of the space. As a part of the opening ceremony, we will show the Ad Astra program from the Chilean Air Force that has new opportunities in technology and investigation and research. Also, we have the IILA country that are members of this association that will share new space policies. Also, we also have authorities that will cover the space research in order to try to close the gap in technology. Space Summit 2024 is a space for collaboration, knowledge, innovation, and development. A trip towards the future, connected and innovative. We invite you to be a part of this space adventure that is unique in the region.
Se invita al señor comandante en jefe.
We invite Mr. Hugo Rodriguez Fernandez, Chief Commander of the Chilean Air Force.
Señora
Mrs. Maya Fernandez Allende, Minister of National Defense, ladies and gentlemen, ambassadors, members of the diplomacy that are guests today, Mr. Chief Commanders of the Armed Forces, national and international representatives, Mr. Representative of the House of Representatives, Mr. Francisco Undurraga Gacitua, Undersecretary Generals, Almirants of national and international armed forces, authorities of aviation, commercial representatives, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to address you in this crowd that it's for this Space Summit, and I gladly welcome you for this also training opportunity that is provided in Fidae 2024. This fair that has been around for 48 years already. It's targeting to gather on the best technology on defense, space, research. And for the Chilean Air Force, it's a challenge to carry out this fair every 2 years. And it's an opportunity that is extraordinary to be the hosts of this space summit, that we have the opportunity to have professors, researchers, and experts in the space and science, national and international experts. In a moment where space exploration and the use of the space is reaching new heights and facing new challenges, it's crucial to gather people that has the passion and share the passion, which allows us to learn more about the things that we are encountering in our way to the stars. Whenever we had the conquer of the moon with different dimensions that we've achieved, we've had this path moving forward. And however, we have a lot to discover just yet. And the Chilean Air Force, together with this participation, will be able to join forces and to move forward with this knowledge and the sustainable and reasonable use of the space in a benefit of the community. In fact, in this summit, we'll have the presentation of works, cultures that are really diverse, as remote monitoring, space technology, communications through satellites, and the opportunities that we have in the space, among many other topics, including the legal module that is willing to discuss space policies and institutionalization. Every perspective is different. Every idea that is going to be exposed makes us closer to the common goal to share the knowledge on the limits that are beyond to our world, and to go beyond the new frontiers in science and the future in the space. With this spirit of collaboration and opening, and the potential of this summit is in learning from one another, to be colleagues and working together to foresee the next advances in science. So this summit that is articulating research and the scientific and academic advances is really important for the future endeavors in the space, especially. So this is to the service and the international collaboration, and as a consequence, to promote peace and progress of nations. Before I finish my words, I would like to thank the attendance of all of you, and in particular of the Minister of National Defense, Mrs. Maya Fernandez Allende, that with her president, it's stressing the importance of Chile stressing the importance of Chile being committed to the space research. And this is the effort of generations. And with this, we'll keep on discovering many things. We only need to think that the common things on daily basis are the wonders that were impossible in the past. Welcome to this Space Summit. We welcome you to start with this amazing trip. Thank you.
A continuación,
Now, Mrs. Maya Fernandez Allende, Minister of National Defense, will take the floor.
Señor comandante,
Mr. Hugo Rodriguez Fernandez, Chief Commander of the Chilean Air Force. Chief Commander of the Air Force, Mr. De La Maza, Mr. Commanders of the Air Forces, nationally, international, Mr. Francisco Undurraga, President of the House of Representatives of Chile, officers, generals, admirals of the Air Forces, Armed Forces, of national, international representatives. I would like to welcome governors that also join us today. That's really important. And before we start with my speech, I would like to thank your attendance and welcome to all the international representatives. It's an honor. We're really proud to welcome you in Fidae 2024. And the noise that we're listening now, it's Fidae, so we're really proud of it. From the beginning of the space era, we've had more than 17,500 satellites around the world, and the development of technology has been exponential within the last decades. It's been decreasing the cost, so it's easier to perform. If 10 years the access to the space was really private from the states, now it's at the reach of private organizations and companies, even common people. But we have better opportunity, but less of 1% being Latin American. So the size of our continent is not represented in space. This means that within the last decade, we've been thinking that within the next decade it's possible to go to the moon again, and we're facing one of the biggest revelations in the world. So what about our future? To find all the answers, we need to see the design, the construction, programming, launching of satellites are a challenge for the human ingenious. And we test technology, knowledge, the capacity of the industry of the nations, and also the knowledge and wisdom and vision that they have. The skills of the space skills that a nation can have are not spontaneous as a consequence of the general development. It is necessary to generate and execute long-term plans that are reachable in its complexity and that can be connected with the development in other areas. Plans that are resistant to the shifting scenarios of the economy and that it can express the national will of the general development. Throughout different projects, we're willing to improve our space research in education research, together with different public policies and the public and private sector to improve in the development of the country throughout the use of the space to add value in public use. Within this process, it'll be fundamental to count with the participation of the areas, and that's why it's really important to materialize the development of the regional space centers where the communication centers can together work for the country. In the few next years, we would like to have the national satellite service to have the strategies that are necessary to explore autonomously the different technologies and systems for the communication and observations of the Earth. Those are necessary to increase the monitoring, to understand the impact of climate change and to support the economic growth of the different areas in the country. We are having this development in the neighboring countries, and there are projects in Argentina and Brazil, and those are impressive, and we need to promote the joint knowledge and sharing experiences. Our nations have done a great effort to develop locally the space activity. However, the current challenges are major or bigger, facing the area of the humanity. The development that we have achieved in the few years, it's been possible for the attempts of the humanity in the development of our skills and to break the barriers that geography perhaps may face. The challenges that we have are the following. The countries in our region need to boost the integration processes. Our scientists need to share more fluently the experiences and discoveries. Our engineers need to get closer and look for solutions together. Our industry needs to collaborate in the construction of technologies. We have to promote the strengthening of the space area of our air forces, considering the adequate collaboration in our institutions. Need to think in this integration. We share a view of the future and an ambition of creating and developing the technologies and the brand new possibilities to solve the issues that we have in Earth. Now we need to share the effort and the talent to be able to have a better future for everyone. Thank you very much and welcome.
Invitamos
We invite the next authorities to the official photography of the third version of the Space Summit. Minister of Defense Maya Fernandez Allende, Chief Commander of the Chilean Air Force, Air General Hugo Rodriguez Gonzalez, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Italy, Valeria Piggiotti, our Honorable Deputy Orlando Gacitua, Governor of Magellan and the Chilean Antarctic, Mr. Jorge Diaz-Añón, Regional Governor of the Biobío region, Mr. Diaz-Werner, Governor of the O'Higgins region, Mr. Silva Maya, Chief of Aviation Armando Romadini Gutierrez, and President of Fidae 2024, Máximo Venegas. The Space Director and Brigadier General Luis Sáez Collantes.
Los invitamos a volver a sus ubicaciones.
We kindly ask you to go back to your seats.
El día de hoy
Today, two very interesting conferences will take place with important international key speakers. In order to continue with this version of Space Summit, we have with us Alejandro Chavez, who will be the moderator of these conferences. Alejandro Chavez is a journalist and master, and he works in REC in Channel 13 Chile. He's been an ambassador in Ecuador, and currently he is director of the CS Media. He is also a part of the Chilean Air Force since 2001. Here with us, Alejandro Chavez. How are you all? Welcome. Good afternoon. It's very hot today. How have you been enjoying the fair? Welcome to the third summit of the Space Summit 2024. I would like to tell you that not only you will be able to enjoy this presentation, we're also streaming via YouTube, and we're also streaming on our social media and Instagram. So the people who are watching can also comment, and you're not going to lose any part of it in general. My general. We understand that we started with a little delay, so we invite the authorities or those who have to leave because of their schedule. They can do it right now. We thank them for taking part of this moment. Dear Minister, thank you very much, dear Minister.
Les recordamos.
Remind you all that these presentations will be published on YouTube, or our official YouTube, and the one that's live on Instagram can also be found on that social media. We would like to thank you. Also, I would like to thank the private company that has allowed Space Summit to take place. The huge news guides, Airbus, Microgeo, Leica, Superman, Expasset, Sea Wines, Black Sky, DTS, Thales, Satlantis, ISI. I would like to please give a round of applause to all of our sponsors. Because of them, we were able to develop this summit. It's been a pleasure, and it's going to be a pleasure to present our speakers that are going to present their vision about space today with us. First of all, I would like to present Mr. Peter Barish. Since 1975 to 1988, he worked in development of ESAOP, part of the European Space Agency in 2006. After the entering of the Czech Republic in this program, he developed with the help of small and medium enterprises the development of the Space Alliance. He has been elected the president until 2022, when he became an honorary president of it. He is been help of the Czech Republic space sector, and he is in fact, and this is in fact the equivalent of a national space agency. Mr. Peter Baric has been in charge of writing the Czech space program. I give the floor to Mr. Space Baric with their conference. Space technologies to strengthen the competitiveness and economy of the Czech Republic.
Estimadas autoridades,
dear authorities, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I feel a little bit out of place among all of these very important people from the Air Forces, but I will try to use my Spanish, so sorry. I would like to explain a little bit what we've been doing in the Czech Republic and talking about space topics. First of all, a geography lesson and history. We're a very small country in the middle of Europe. I believe that from the left to the right is 300 kilometers or so, and a very young country. In 1991, we specifically split from Slovakia, and we then split from the Soviet Union. Also, we started closing relationships with Occidental organizations. So we are members of the NATO, we are members of a European Union, we are also part of, we have the Galileo First, that is now a bigger agency that also encompasses other programs, that has a headquarters in Prague. So we are a very small dot in this picture, in this satellite picture. The most important or key in the development of space technologies has been the European Space Agency, ESA. We started a preliminary program in 2005. It was preliminary because the countries are not allowed only to enter because they have money and they want to participate, but they have to show that their industry has a capacity of winning international bids and to use the money that they are receiving, and that's a very huge challenge at the beginning. This is something that all the new countries have to undergo within a time frame of 5 years, and we were able to qualify it in 3 years. We had been working in the Soviet programs before that, so I think that's was the reason why we were able to do it, and we were also and the rest of the countries from Central Europe or the East Europe, they took between 4 and 12 years to enter. So in 2008 we entered, and 15 years from then we've achieved a lot, and we've been able to face challenges alongside members that have a lot more experience than us. We're currently in 2 important programs, such as the development of Ariane 6 rocket, also EGNOS and Galileos. EGNOS is the equivalent to WASP in Europe. We're also part of the Space Situation Awareness, and we are developing scientific satellites. And also the academia is taking part in all of these progress. And lastly, our government has placed a challenge in the industry where we have to define a mission to define a satellite, being able to launch it and control it and use the data collected, and all the academia. Our academia is doing that now. So this is a huge challenge. So we'll see in the future how this works out. So we do not have a space agency in Czech Republic. We have a council of Minister of Transport. We have 3 committees within that: our security committee, education committee. Those 2 are led by ministries, and then a council of industry and applications, which considered as industrial association. And our objectives, the objectives of our government have decided to invest on. Before, during our communism era, everything was led by politics. The main objective was propaganda of the system, and On the silver lining, there were a lot of academic projects, but everything was focused on the the projection of our political system. When we were freed from Russia, academia stayed stagnant because the politicians left. But once we started talking with the European Space Organization, there were some issues because in the space agency, projects and investments are led by commercial efforts. So 90% of the investments are targeting the industry. It was a little bit painful, but now we've overcome that mostly. I almost forgot to mention, sorry, that the two objectives that we talk about are being able to develop technologies that are sustainable and not only are a mission to Mars, for example, but technologies that can be transferred to commercial objectives or civil objectives. It is important to be able to return our investments to the government. There are studies that say that in space there can be innovation and some part of it can be brought back to Earth. That's a little bit complicated, but the return rates are mostly good. But in the long run, it is possible to earn money using those technologies. And how are we intending to achieving these objectives? There are two continuous projects with ESA. One of them is creation of business incubation centers. A lot of countries do not have it. We have two of them already. We support small and medium enterprises using space technologies for civilian use. There's a budget for each project of 50,000 euros. We also have technology transfer brokers as a continuous project, where this is something similar. We also try to partner with important partners. And next one, this is not the last one, but I will finish with this, is ESERO. This is education. We focus on primary and secondary schools. It's a little bit of dissemination, and we also work with universities, with the youth who are interested in studying technology, so a new generation of engineers. Now I go back to the contributions to ESA. These do not allow to do certain things that countries do certain things. We have to be able to earn a certain amount of money with this. So they are very strict with it. This is our budget to our contributions to ESA. So it is not only that our government decided that it is advantageous to invest a lot of money in development, but at the same time that the space agency, it is important that space agencies see the potential of the Czech industry. Nowadays it is 72,000 million Chilean pesos. This is only to remind that the space agency is not part of the European Union. Some countries are part of it. Not every country from the European Union belongs to it. For example, we have Canada as a member in the United Kingdom that left. The European Union is still a very important partner of the ESA. Now, about our association, Czech Space Alliance, we created this association during this framework that I mentioned at the beginning, which were very hard times in which the industry was very constricted. Only academia and universities were allowed to work on this, so we needed a sort of body that would allow us to perform our endeavors. And nowadays we focus on looking for partners in other countries. We have connections with space agencies all over the world. And also, we've had success in technological projects. The Ministry of Transport has acknowledged our work. And also the Czech Space Agency acknowledged the efforts we've made. Here there are some examples of our clients and partners. These are big companies, space agency, and also some of them are from Japan, United States, Africa. So we look to broaden our horizons, our market outside Europe. The space agency is still our biggest client. Then the European defense, the space programs, European program. We also look forward to working with other space agencies in other countries. For example, we are here. We also are looking forward to participating with your efforts, contributing to your efforts. Also in Asia, we have some activities at the moment. I'm going to say this very quickly. For example, assembly, mechanisms, electronical softwares, development of advanced materials. That's something that we do, for example. We try to sell our technologies, ESA technologies, that's financed by the state. We have clients, for example, in Japan, regarding satellite navigation, for example, drones in the United States, plane companies in which the materials developed for satellites are used. Here we have some examples of some agencies that we have collaboration with in Mexico, Japan. This is a Japanese astronaut that represented our company, our space organization in Tokyo. We were able to share with him, and we look forward to continue our collaboration efforts.
La historia.
The history of the interest in SAT was 2019. In Czech train in Santiago, they started letting us know about the opportunity. It was really interesting, so we decided to send a list of about 20 companies that were interested, because it's just a brief comment for starting. Then we have an online presentation for a bigger company of technical experts from the Chilean Air Force. And last year, we started with the registration in the database of the Chilean Air Force, about 20 companies and 2 associations. And right now, we are here. We keep on discussing with you to see whether we can contribute. And we already have a footprint in Chile with the space agency. We created a project as an observatory, robotic observatories that are looking for asteroids or space garbage. One is installed in Spain. Other one is in La Silla here. It's an observatory of the space agency that it's related to the Czech Republic. And here you have some references for further information on the Ministry of Department of Transport. I also have an official presentation of the ministry that it's available. And we're really willing to continue with the project, and we're hoping the Air Force and the Chilean people has a lot of success with this project because it's a really ambitious and really interesting. So you are invited to go to Prague. Hopefully we'll see each other, and thank you so much and for the Air Force to give me this opportunity to attend in this context. Thank you.
Preguntaba si se había pasado el tiempo. No, estaba muy bien.
He was asking if he went over the time, but it was just perfect. Thank you so much. It was so interesting to listen to Mr. Bedard with his vision on the conference of the Czech Republic investing in space technologies. We would like to remind you that whether the environment is really too noisy, there are headsets on the back of the room, and you can ask for the reproduction and also for each of the presentations. And also in the presentations, and I repeat this, will be in the Air Force website. Now we move forward for the governance, space governance. There are countries that have a lot of experience in this area, and it's really interesting to listen to their experiences and achievements. Right now we have from the United Kingdom Colonel Richard Niven, who is head of the major state of the command state of the UK. Colonel Niven internationally has been the main representative in the NATO Space Center with the responsibility of the Air Force commander for the NATO space on the Alps, and they are together with the UK and the Defense Ministry working on operational projects. He's working for the Royal Office in the Defense of the UK from 2010, being the first official in the space officer qualified from the UK. He's also developed from his experience the course of a space instructor, qualified instructor, that is the highest level for the training, space training in the defense of the UK. In May 2020, he was the one in charge of the Ministry of Defense for helping in the development of the proposal for the space development for the integrate or comprehensive work. In 2021 was named to the guide the change program for the space project, and it was the one in charge of the training until November 1st, 2023, when he retired of the active services. Now is supporting the space project of the UK as a reserve. Please, a round of applause for his presentation of space governance.
Distinguished guests, sirs, moms, ladies and gentlemen, buenos dias. I'm going to speak to you about space governance, so thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. 2019 was a really important year for UK space. NATO had declared space an operational domain. The government had invested 500 million in OneWeb. The Conservative Party manifesto suddenly said that UK was going to have a space command. Why was that? Because the UK is just leaving the EU at that point. Other nations were building space commands, USA, France, and space was one way of kick-starting the economy in light of our leaving the EU. The Ministry of Defence set up the Space Directorate, who looked at developing space proposition. Okay. the space proposition for what we would have in our integrated review. That was the process that would set spending for the next 10 years. That proposition generated 1.4 billion for space and the defence space portfolio. It also set the blueprint for UK Space Command. The speed at which we were required to develop Space Command was unprecedented. In November 2020, the Secretary of State approved our plan. 6th of January 21, Vice Chief activated me as the Change Programme Manager to deliver Space Command by the 1st of April 21. What I'm going to take today is talk through the lessons of generating that command. Luckily for us, national space governance had been reviewed earlier that year. So in summer 2020, government did a review of our space landscape. What did that mean? Well, actually, we put our new governance in to ensure we cohered national space. We had a Space Council, which set by the Prime Minister and led by the Prime Minister or a minister at all levels, which brought together all the ministers that were responsible for space. Below that was a National Space Board, which senior officials sat on and ensured that they were coherent across their departments to deliver the space ambition for the nation. Below that, we then had policy units, both in the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology, which owned the Space Agency, and also in the Ministry of Defence, and generating a joint policy unit. That was critical in ensuring that we were coherent in our spending for space. And moreover, it enabled us then to look at changing our UK Space Agency from a policy unit into a delivery unit. So what does that mean? Well, actually, that means that UK Space Command, as it grew, and the UK Space Agency were able to grow together hand in glove. We built the framework of policy, and any aviator today will recognise strategy to task, but enabled us to have a golden thread through to strategic direction. It also enabled us, with a joint policy unit, to generate the UK's first national space policy, which was civil and military, and also enabled the MOD through the Space Directorate to give us direction on our from our national space policy in a defence space strategy. So what did that look like? Well, our national space strategy has 5 pillars. The key one for defence is to protect and defend UK interests in and through space. So taking that as our baseline, we then did an analysis through the defence space strategy to draw out 3 strategic themes: protect and defend UK assets, enhance military operations, and upskill and cohere. And they were fundamental to enabling the command to grow at a pace. As we looked at those 3 themes, we broke the command down into 4 pillars, effectively. Operate, which looked at our current operations, so our UK Space Operations Centre, our RF Farningdale's missile warning and space surveillance, and integrating with Skynet to protect and defend it. We looked at Generate. We just got 1.4 billion in a defence space portfolio. So how are we going to spend that money? So the Generate pillar looked at breaking that down into work streams and into a portfolio approach through space domain awareness, space ISR, space command and control, space control, and also linking in with UK Strategic Command and the wider governance in defence through our SATCOM programme, our position navigation and timing programmes, and supporting the UK Space Agency in launch. Those 4 pillars were surrounded by a single underlying foundation of people and culture. We set up a Space Command to be different. What we didn't want to do is repeat the mistakes we made elsewhere and actually be able to drive a new culture within space. Looking after your people and ensuring we took stock of that cultural change was fundamental in making sure Space Command was a success and people wanted to work in space. The final element, which I'll touch on here, is educate. Without educate and building your workforce, you have no space capability. Your workforce and people are fundamental. So your culture, your people, and the ability to train them is fundamental to developing your capability. Without that, the rest of the pillars fell down. Those pillars formed a very simple framework for us to
Esto fue bastante complejo. Todo lo que, lo que queríamos sacar de esto es que este marco nos ayudaría a idear un plan. Cada sector militar idearía un plan y estaríamos en cargo de informar esto a la persona en cargo del programa espacial. No teníamos la suficiente cantidad de personas.
driving your requirements and your objectives to make sure you meet all those requirements set for us in the national strategy, the defence strategy and the RF command plan was fundamental in enabling the command to have capacity to move forward. That single repository of risk management and getting ahead of the game, very much like military officers, we don't always look at risk, we often react to it. So driving a proactive risk management, looking ahead to ensure that we mitigate risks wherever we can, and then looking back to ensure our performance was satisfactory, was fundamental for us to move at pace. We looked ahead for 2 months and then required to look back for that third month to ensure that performance. That performance management then was taken up to the MOD level. Could I have a slide forward, please? Next slide, please. So at the MOD level, Space Command was required to oversee and cohere national space capability within defence. To ensure we did that, we set up a space delivery group. That was headed by Commander UK Space Command, and it had partners from across the MOD and internal to the MOD. So all the single service commanders were invited, Strategic Command, who's responsible for our satellite communications, precision navigation and timing, the UK Space Agency because they oversaw launch, partners from the intelligence agencies, everybody who relied on or had a requirement on Space Command within defence or was a near partner to came to that meeting. Why? Because that's our external insurance. That looked at us and said, are we able to deliver what we're saying to deliver, and what help can we give you to move forward? The outcome of that meeting not only went up to the 4-star exec committee, but also went forward then to the National Space Board and the National Space Council. So we were then assured at the national level that we are delivering against that 1.4 billion target that we were given to move forward at pace for space. Having that meeting as well gives us a fundamental opportunity to cohere the priorities for defence and ensure that UK defence understands where it's going and are mutually supporting in that way. Deepening integration across government, ensuring we have government agencies who understand what defence is doing, and also we understand what they're doing, but also understand the limitations and risks they hold in space and how defence can support them to mitigate those risks. Bringing space into integrated defence for deterrence. We talk about space deterrence. The UK doesn't like that concept. What we like is deterrence and how space supports the deterrence and integrated deterrence concepts. So building that narrative, building that case for space in integrated deterrence. Responsible behaviours. Chile is part of the UN Open-Ended Work Group, as are many nations in this region. Setting a norms is fundamental for the safe and sustainable use of space. So ensuring that we support responsible behaviours in space is a key target. Building our workforce. Constantly, we must keep building our workforce. It's very easy to say we've got enough people. We never have enough people. The key piece here is, unless you have that ability to keep generating your workforce and grow your workforce, then ultimately you will fail in space. Broadening partnerships. Nobody can do space on their own. Space is too big. Not even the US can do space on their own. So broadening our partnerships, ensuring we collaborate, ensuring we reach out, and ensure we not only reach out with partners, allies, but also to industry, so we have a comprehensive ecosystem and environment so that we can generate capability at pace. And finally, the space industrial plan. How we work with industry. New space moves at such pace that we have to have a very, very close relationship with industry. We have to iterate with them, we have to develop with them, we have to grow with them. If we don't do that, then we will be left behind as the military. And the civilian technology will move far in advance of what we can do if we look at our national procurement strategies. So changing that and moving that at pace allows us to step forward with the most efficient technology and effective technology we can when we go to put things on orbit. Finally, I'll talk through some of the challenges. The challenges we had when setting up the command are plentiful. When you set things up at pace, there are a lot of issues we have to resolve and things you take risk against and fix later on. Workforce was key. We have very few space professionals in UK defence, very few deep space professionals. The majority reside in the Royal Air Force. So building a joint command from the other services meant we need to grow a workforce. Therefore, throughout the last 3 years, we've taken risk on personnel being posted in to ensure that they were given sufficient education to be effective. Not everybody needs to be a space expert to work a space command. Your personnel management does not need to be a space expert, but they need to understand some of the nuances of space. Ownership of space. Space Command was set up to cohere UK defence space. That meant senior officers had to give up their programmes in their own command as they came under. Managing that and stakeholder management was key to delivering that. So working with your stakeholders, ensuring that they understand where you're going and how you're going to benefit them if you give them that capability, and often the money that goes with it, is key. Ensuring defence understands its reliance on space. And it's not only defence in the UK, it's cross-government. People do not understand their reliance on space and what the implications are for them if they lose space. Most people think their GPS on their mobile phone comes to their mobile phone. It's space. Getting that message to the public, getting that message into other government departments, and actually working with them to develop mitigation strategies is a fundamental challenge. Generating a defence intelligence function for space. People understand taking intelligence from space, taking overhead collect, and the like, but actually generating space professionals who understand space intelligence and look at space activities and do that assessment was very difficult to get understood and generated. And then, like any new command, when you stand up and say you're a space command, on day 2, everybody expects you to be have a full workforce, be at full capability, and want your resource. And every time you're successful, people want more resource. So managing a very few numbers, and to give you an example, on the change programme working up to the 1st of April, we had 6 people. From the 15th on the change programme before that, we had 2 people. And then it went to 6, then it grew to about 15, and then on the 1st of April, we had over 500. That growth, and understanding that growth and the finite resources you've got as you move forward is fundamental. So expectation management across organisations, across defence, across your national infrastructure is key at that point. However, we've had a number of huge successes and catastrophic successes. We put liaison officers into every frontline command. Therefore, every commander had a space expert. So we started unpicking their reliance on space, which meant they wanted more space, which was a vicious circle for us. But the effect that we had with having liaison officers in headquarters meant everybody knew about Space Command, and that was key. The Space Academy, training. Getting training up early, getting people trained, and building an academy where we can take people through both civil, military, and commercial in training together was a fundamental leap forward. Operational capability to demonstrators, getting things on orbit, or getting things manufactured for orbit. Unfortunately, we lost our first capability demonstrator when the Virgin Orbit launch went wrong, but we're expecting to have another couple on orbit this year, and moving that at pace to get that capability on orbit and be able to demonstrate a network in space is fundamental for us. joint commercial operations, part of a US initiative, Joint Commercial Operations Cell, but using commercial data to build your space domain awareness was key, because that allows you to share with partners, share with industry, share with allies those products, and it allows you to have a much broader reach as you go forward. And finally, the demand for space intelligence. Current operations have seen a huge increase in the requirement for space intelligence, both commercial and from military sources. And trying to balance that and broker that has been a huge success for the command. So on that note, thank you very much for your attention. I'll be around after to answer any questions you've got. Thank you very much.
Agradecemos la exposición del coronel Richard Niven, jefe del Estado Mayor del Estado del Comando Espacial del Reino Unido. Los queremos invitar ahora para prepararnos para sumergirnos
to sharing knowledge and ideas here in the summit. We're going to have a coffee break that's necessary at this time. It will last 20 minutes and then we will come back. So please, you are welcome to our coffee break and see you in 20 minutes.
Take a look at Chile, at what we have going on here. From our amazing landscapes, today we are telling you about us. The talent of Chilean men and women. We are creating the future here, at the southern extreme of the world, where the impossible is possible, making things happen. The energy of this land has given us so much for so long. We want to share all of our contributions with the world. Look up there. See the stars? We see there's a whole world ahead. We've got such a lot to contribute to the world that we're keen to see just how far we can get to from here. Chile, the experience at the southern edge of the world that invites you to create a better future together. Chile, creating future.
We are Chile. For us, each day is an adventure. The adventure of learning, the adventure of growing, of harnessing new talent. We are a young country, but one that has come a long way. It has not always been easy. Our character has been forged by challenges, and we're proud of what we have built together. You know us. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about confidence and the future we're building today. We're talking about strength, transparency, and a country with a vision of international integration, with you as a partner. An ideal partnership for your project to thrive. With talent, with creativity, with leadership. We are Chile, the platform in Latin America for global business. Let us make your next project happen.
¿Qué nos hace volar? ¿Qué hace que empecemos cada día con energía y pasión? Nos moviliza Chile y su gente. De norte a sur, de mar a cordillera, aterrizando en territorio insular y haciendo patria en las profundidades de la Antártica. 12.000 mujeres y hombres, trabajando en equipo, preparados para esos cambios vertiginosos que trae aparejados este cuarto ya de siglo XXI. Atravesando los cielos de agitadas ciudades, enfrentando el ardiente desierto y los fríos vientos de la Patagonia Austral, custodiando en toda su extensión nuestro amplio espacio aéreo. Allí está la Fuerza Aérea de Chile. En ese escenario, fundamental resultan las personas que integran la institución, quienes se perfeccionan de manera permanente a través de programas de pregrado y posgrado en ciencias aeroespaciales, con apoyo de prestigiosas universidades, con el mejoramiento de la infraestructura educativa y la gestión de nuevos talentos, de manera de potenciar el proceso de selección a las escuelas matrices. Todo ello sumado al sistemático desarrollo de la ciencia e innovación, son la impronta de los aviadores militares del presente y futuro, los mismos que hoy ponen su vista y orientan su avión directo a las estrellas, una ruta que lleva a la Fuerza Aérea a renovar constantemente sus conocimientos, acordes con las más altas exigencias, moderna tecnología y sistemas de armas de última generación en beneficio directo del desarrollo del país y bienestar de cada uno de sus habitantes. Esta es la FACH de ayer, de hoy y de siempre. La misma que gracias a sus capacidades estratégicas y la polivalencia de sus medios, se transforma en componente clave de la política de defensa nacional, generando disuasión para disfrutar la paz que trae progreso y desarrollo. Aviadores militares en alerta permanente para ir en auxilio de quien lo necesite, con sus helicópteros y personal en rescates en la alta cordillera, en catástrofes naturales a lo largo del territorio nacional, con sus aviones en evacuaciones aeromédicas, trasladando forraje para animales a lugares donde sin el medio aéreo sería imposible llegar, colaborando activamente en el combate de incendios forestales y asesorando a la autoridad con información geoespacial. Esta es la Fuerza Aérea casi centenaria, a la que orgullosamente pertenecemos. Una institución de alas nobles y abiertas que hoy vuela a grandes alturas con auspiciosos y prometedores desafíos. Esta es la Fuerza Aérea de la tecnología, la del profesionalismo a toda prueba, la del compromiso y rectitud, la del silencioso sacrificio y dedicación de mujeres y hombres que juraron dar la vida por Chile y por cada uno de sus habitantes. La Fuerza Aérea de Chile que toma altura en sostenido vuelo hacia un promisorio futuro, directo a las estrellas.
Take a look at Chile, at what we have going on here. From our amazing landscapes, today we are telling you about us. The talent of Chilean men and women. We are creating the future here, at the southern extreme of the world, where the impossible is possible, making things happen. The energy of this land has given us so much for so long. We want to share all of our contributions with the world. Look up there. See the stars? We see there's a whole world ahead. We've got such a lot to contribute to the world that we're keen to see just how far we can get to from here. Chile, the experience at the southern edge of the world that invites you to create a better future together. Chile, creating future. Take a look at Chile, at what we have going on here. From our amazing landscapes, today we are telling you about us. The talent of Chilean men and women. We are creating the future here at the southern extreme of the world, where the impossible is possible, making things happen. The energy of this land has given us so much for so long. We want to share all of our contributions with the world. Look up there. See the stars? We see there's a whole world ahead. We've got such a lot to contribute to the world that we're keen to see just how far we can get to from here. Chile, the experience at the southern edge of the world that invites you to create a better future together. Chile, creating future.
We are Chile. For us, each day is an adventure. The adventure of learning, the adventure of growing, of harnessing new talent. We are a young country, but one that has come a long way. It has not always been easy. Our character has been forged by challenges, and we're proud of what we have built together. You know us. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about confidence and the future we're building today. We're talking about strength, transparency, and a country with a vision of international integration, with you as a partner. An ideal partnership for your project to thrive. With talent, with creativity, with leadership. We are Chile, the platform in Latin America for global business. Let us make your next project happen.
¿Qué nos hace volar? ¿Qué hace que empecemos cada día con energía y pasión? Nos moviliza Chile y su gente. De norte a sur, de mar a cordillera. Aterrizando en territorio insular y haciendo patria en las profundidades de la Antártica. 12.000 mujeres y hombres, trabajando en equipo, preparados para esos cambios vertiginosos que trae aparejados este cuarto ya de siglo XXI, atravesando los cielos de agitadas ciudades, enfrentando el ardiente desierto y los fríos vientos de la Patagonia Austral, custodiando en toda su extensión nuestro amplio espacio aéreo. Allí está la Fuerza Aérea de Chile. En ese escenario, fundamental resultan las personas que integran la institución, quienes se perfeccionan de manera permanente a través de programas de pregrado y posgrado en ciencias aeroespaciales, con apoyo de prestigiosas universidades, con el mejoramiento de la infraestructura educativa y la gestión de nuevos talentos, de manera de potenciar el proceso de selección a las escuelas matrices. Todo ello sumado al sistemático desarrollo de la ciencia e innovación, son la impronta de los aviadores militares del presente y futuro, los mismos que hoy ponen su vista y orientan su avión directo a las estrellas, una ruta que lleva a la Fuerza Aérea a renovar constantemente sus conocimientos, acordes con las más altas exigencias, moderna tecnología y sistemas de armas de última generación en beneficio directo del desarrollo del país y bienestar de cada uno de sus habitantes. Esta es la FACH de ayer, de hoy y de siempre. La misma que gracias a sus capacidades estratégicas y la polivalencia de sus medios, se transforma en componente clave de la política de defensa nacional, generando disuasión para disfrutar la paz que trae progreso y desarrollo. Aviadores militares en alerta permanente para ir en auxilio de quien lo necesite, con sus helicópteros y personal en rescates en la alta cordillera, en catástrofes naturales a lo largo del territorio nacional, con sus aviones en evacuaciones aeromédicas, trasladando forraje para animales a lugares donde sin el medio aéreo sería imposible llegar, colaborando activamente en el combate de incendios forestales y asesorando a la autoridad con información geoespacial. Esta es la Fuerza Aérea casi centenaria, a la que orgullosamente pertenecemos. Una institución de alas nobles y abiertas que hoy vuela a grandes alturas con auspiciosos y prometedores desafíos. Esta es la Fuerza Aérea de la tecnología, la del profesionalismo a toda prueba, la del compromiso y rectitud, la del silencioso sacrificio y dedicación de mujeres y hombres que juraron dar la vida por Chile y por cada uno de sus habitantes. La Fuerza Aérea de Chile que toma altura en sostenido vuelo hacia un promisorio futuro, directo a las estrellas.
Take a look at Chile, at what we have going on here. From our amazing landscapes, today we are telling you about us.
Invitamos a nuestra audiencia a volver al hall central.
We are
para la segunda parte de nuestro Summit 2024.
After this deserved coffee break, we invite you to come back to your seats so we can continue with this Summit 2024 in Fidae 2024. Thank you.
Look up there. See the stars? We see there's a whole world ahead. We've got such a lot to contribute to the world that we're keen to see just how far we can get to from here. Chile, the experience at the southern edge of the world that invites you to create a better future together. Chile, creating future.
Hacemos la invitación a los participantes de este Summit 2024.
So we welcome all the guests of this Summit 2024 so we can go back to the main hall and continue with the second part of this meeting.
Les reiteramos, estamos
Again, we are some minutes to begin the second part of this Summit 2024.
Take a look at Chile, at what we have going on here. From our amazing landscapes. Today we are telling you about us. The talent of Chilean men and women. We are creating the future here at the southern extreme of the world, where the impossible is possible, making things happen. The energy of this land has given us so much for so long. We want to share all of our contributions with the world. Look up there. See the stars? We see there's a whole world ahead. We've got such a lot to contribute to the world that we're keen to see just how far we can get to from here. Chile, the experience at the southern edge of the world that invites you to create a better future together. Chile, creating future.
Estamos listos para comenzar. Invitamos a
So we're ready to begin. Please join us in the main hall where we're carrying out this Summit 2024. We invite all the authorities, attendees, guests. Once again, please join us and please sit in the front so we're more together. We know that we have an agenda that's being, well, there are some other presentations that are in parallel in here, so we're really thankful for those that remained in this room and for those that are finishing their coffee, their juice. Please join us. This is the last call before we start the second part of this Space Summit 2024.
Integration with you as a partner. An ideal partnership for your project to thrive. With talent, with creativity, with leadership. We are Chile, the platform.
Los invitamos a los que vienen
So all those are joining us after drinking their coffee. Please join us. This is the last part of this Summit 2024. Please join us. We have some space here in the front rows. It'll be better so we can get closer and we can share the vision and the view of the presentations we're going to see. This is the last call. To the guests, attendees, authorities, please. We're 1 minute to start after the coffee break. And to continue with the agenda of this Summit 2024, we remind you that the attendees, we remind you that you can see the watch the presentation or the speakers that we already had You'll be able to watch all the videos in the YouTube channel of the Chilean Air Force and on their Instagram account. We're about to start 1 minute, so this is the last call for the guests. You can bring your biscuits, no problem.
Aeroespaciales con apoyo de prestigiosas universidades, con el mejoramiento de la infraestructura educativa y la gestión de nuevos talentos, de manera de potenciar el proceso de selección a las escuelas matrices. Todo ello sumado al sistemático
Ya estamos a un minuto de comenzar, hacemos el último llamado para el...
So, once again, this is the last call. This is the last call for the second part of this Summit 2024.
Aérea, a renovar constantemente sus conocimientos, acordes con las más altas exigencias, moderna tecnología y sistemas de armas de última generación en beneficio directo del desarrollo del país y bienestar de cada uno de sus habitantes. Esta es la FACH de ayer, de hoy y de siempre. La misma que gracias a sus capacidades estratégicas y la polivalencia de sus medios, se transforma en componente clave de la política de defensa nacional, generando disuasión para disfrutar la paz que trae progreso y desarrollo. Aviadores militares en alerta permanente para ir en auxilio de quien lo necesite, con sus helicópteros y personal en rescates en la alta cordillera, en catástrofes naturales a lo largo del territorio nacional, con sus aviones en evacuaciones aeromédicas, trasladando forraje para animales a lugares...
Queremos invitar...
Everything that's been covered in the Space Summit 2024. We've had a nice weather as well, and everything is coordinated today, right, General? So no F-16 is flying over us again. It wouldn't be noisy, so we're about to start. Please join us, those who are finishing their coffee and want to join us and participate. Remember that we had some authorities like our Minister of Defense, and she had to leave. But anyway, we're going to start. Thank you so much for being with us after the coffee break. We continue with our agenda, and it's a moment to start with the starting meeting of the third meeting of the space agencies of the IILA member countries. Do you want to know what IILA is? We have a video, so you'll get to know what they are.
En 1966.
In 1966, in Rome, we have the IILA, the International Italo-Latin America Institute, that whenever they started, Almirtori Falfani wanted to create a bridge between Italy and the countries of Latin America, friend countries that were strategic partners with 600 million inhabitants, represented 9% of the population worldwide and 10% of the... And this organization has held over 500 conferences around the world with 57 head of state. They have promoted several professional programs. They have carried out exposition and cultural activities. And within the last 10 years, they've developed projects of over $30 million for assisting all the country members. This great work has created the base of a productive relationship between Italy and Latin America, a trustworthy relationship in cooperation that keeps on growing and renewing in the European environment. With IILA, it's promoting the strength between the alliances to promote all the member countries the path that is needed for an equal and sustainable growth. Now we have new challenges in a world that is always more connected, and this is fundamental to work together and feed the constructive dialogue through international networks to be able to face new challenges and create new opportunities for the future. That is perfectly aligned with the agenda for 2030 for the sustainable development of the United Nations. Here it starts in a new path from IILA towards a more equal world, a common path based on collaboration, dialogue, and the respect of many cultures. The future awaits us. IILA is prepared to have this as a main character.
A lo largo de sus más de 50 años de vida,
Throughout over 50 years, IILA has signed several agreements with over 100 entities. That's why I would like to leave the floor and to start this third meeting of the space agencies of the IILA member countries to the head of the technological development industry, Mr. Jerko Benavides.
Good afternoon. I would like to welcome the General Secretary of IILA, Ms. Cavallari, the presidents of the regions and the representatives of the space agencies of Latin America and the Caribbean that are here with us today, to all of you who are sharing with us this opening session of the third meeting of the IILA. Chile is taking responsibility, with a lot of responsibility, everything related to space. In the last few years, we've taken important steps in the consolidation of this topic, and the fact that that's been transforming in development for the country. The Ministry of Defense, alongside the government of Chile, are implementing a satellite system that is not only a capacity replacement system, but it is also the implementation of a system that involves several areas such as innovation, communication, educational programs, and at all levels, industrial development, etc., which can be seen with a constellation of 10 satellites, space centers, and a wider range of elements that strengthen our country. Another factor that showed this development is the creation of a national space agency. These instances are multi-ministerial instances in which we develop a space ecosystem in all its lines. Chile was one of the only countries with online satellites that didn't have an organism that was in charge of all this matter. Our current challenge is to strengthen what we've created, to create a consciousness of the use of space as a motor for development. In the past, this was always seen as something of sci-fi, as cinema, for example. But nowadays we see that that is part of our lives. Systems of monitoring and localization in our hands, imagery that help us to take decisions. In other words, space at our own service. But also a challenge that we have as a country is to generate alliances internationally in space matters to build the basis in order to strengthen these different wheels. Is something that we have to do. To take a document from paper to taking action is something that requires a lot of effort. We have to keep doing this as a challenge for the country in the long run, not only temporary. So it is important to have a strong institutionality that aims for the common good or well-being. We have to create a solid cooperation in which Chile is a very important factor. So taking part in international cooperation programs has to do with taking the best of each country and assimilating them to our own realities. Chile can help with a lot of things, and we also need to take the positive elements from other countries. So we need to strengthen this collaboration, which is fundamental for development. So that's why I think that all the representatives of the space agencies are here with us today. Opportunities such as this, as the Italo-Latin American Association, is a proof of this relationship in which one of us have more experience and help the other members. As a region, we have to position ourselves in this context and be able to face the challenges together in the future. Chile is taking short strides towards the future, but which are also very strong. By looking forward to the future, generating alliances and strengthening economic areas in the country, we've been creating this motor for development, and we have to take advantage of this opportunity to work together towards a common goal. Welcome to Chile, welcome to the third encounter of the Italo-Latin American Association members. Thank you for your words, and it is moment to share the vision of the General Secretary of ILA, Ms. Antonella Cavallari, regarding the third encounter of IILA members. So I would like to give the floor to Antonella Cavallari. Well, thank you so much. I would like to thank Jerko Benavides, the representative of the Ministry of Defense, and General Saez, who is in charge of space activity in the Air Force of Chile. And I would like to thank you all, the representatives of the space agencies of IILA member. I don't know what to say. Your presence here is fundamental. You saw in the video already that IILA is an international organization, has 21 member countries. Italy is a founding member, and the 20 countries from this region that are here represented. We have 18 of them, including Italy, here with us. So this is a collaborative effort that I really appreciate. It is the third time, so you may be wondering, what does the IILA do? Why are we here today? It is because for the third time we've We've gathered the space agency of this region, because, as such as the space ministry said, Latin America is underrepresented in space topics in comparison to the opportunities it has. So that's why it is important that we work together in order for Latin America to be more present in this aspect. And IILA allows for this cooperation, for this integration, this mutual or this joint knowledge, the creation of a build trust among the representatives of the region. Our contribution is basically creating links not only between Italy and Latin American region, but also between the countries themselves. That for the first time were gathered in 2022 in Rome during the first meeting of space agencies, which was something that Tatiana Garibero Diana conceived. She is an expert in space rights, and the first time this idea came up, she said, well, there are not a lot, many opportunities for the representatives of the space agencies to meet. The Italy agency, for example, tomorrow we will have the maximum Italian authority from the ASCI, and the Latin American agency. So in Roma, this first meeting took place and was very successful. So successful that the following year, Brazil offered to host the second meeting in Sao Paulo in the framework of the Brazilian Space Fair. I would like to also thank the representative of the Brazilian Space Agency, who is also with us today. After this meeting in Sao Paulo, with Jarko Benavides and with the General Size, we were wondering and thinking, well, we have to find another meeting point for this meeting. And then in 2023 in Sao Paulo, we came up with the idea of doing it here in Santiago. I loved the idea. I arrived in Santiago in July last year. We discussed it and it moved forward. So I am very glad, I am very proud to say that we were able to realize an idea that we had a year ago and that it's now taking place. So it's a privilege for us to have this opportunity of showing our space activities within the framework of this summit that is very prestigious and that is organized by Chile. So the idea is for our ideas to become facts and concrete programs. This is something that you already know, that you have an ally in IILA and a house in IILA. So together we can do a lot of progress together. We do not only cooperate in space matters, but also in some others. But in this case, we go hand in hand doing joint projects. We are assessing a lot of countries in this region in space rights. Next week in Montevideo, we are having a seminar on space rights, because it is important to know about the reality of it, the framework, the law framework of it. We've done a lot of workshops, courses, training courses for professionals in this matter. We also organize the Space Weeks. During the Space Weeks organized by the United Nations, we've done it 3 times, dedicating our activities to topics, very original topics, For example, the first one was women in space, so taking advantage of Miss Rigo being there. She told us about her experience arriving in an environment in which men dominate. We have, for example, the case of Samantha Cristoforetti, who's also a star in this area. And the second, we also dedicated it to space garbage. The third one is also very interesting, which was because it was focused on the nourishment of astronauts. It was thought by the considering the missions that are going to happen in the future. For example, in order to get to Mars, they're going to take 6 months, for example, and they cannot eat biscuits for 6 months. So we've discovered that an entire branch of enterprises that produce food for astronauts. And what we did, in order to tell them, well, and it's just to tell you what we've been doing. We've showed a lot of alternatives in the European context in order to present their products. This was very successful. With us, we had a Mexican company that develops astronaut food, which is very interesting. I would like to thank them. Their name is Vidalis. They were present in this fair that's about space economics. Well, because space has a lot of implications in our daily lives. So a lot of what's taking place in space reflects directly in the civil world. It's not only about stars. It is also something that lands on Earth. We've been using the satellite monitoring for agriculture purposes, for example. So we have projects that use satellite monitoring, which is important to show you how important it is the job we've been doing in matters of Earth observation. We are about to launch a project about the monitoring of oceans of some countries of this region, particularly on the Pacific coast. We started in the Pacific because of our budget, but we also want to be able to monitor the Atlantic coast. We want to be able to use the data in the best possible way in terms of satellite monitoring, and also give birth to a virtual lab. But in the case that Chile wants to have a real lab, here we are.
And this is really a relevant and important project. This is just to tell you a little bit of what we've been doing and how we've been using the experience in matters of space collaboration in the framework of projects that are really grounded in this land, on Earth right now. And we also have, and we're paying attention particularly in training, and that means scholarships. The scholarships are the key of the mutual knowledge. We provide the possibility to researchers, scholars, to fine-tune their capacities and skills, and the international research center that's really relevant, and in Italy too, but also the CERN in Geneva. Well, the Latin American countries are not members, but only Brazil is joining them, but the others are not members of CERN. But through IILA, they managed to participate in the research activities of the summer school in CERN. That is really prestigious. So that also is the key for training technicians that are capable of helping and assisting in the growth of the sector for every country. So I just wanted to let you know that tomorrow's work will be really intense. We have 9 panels that will be really interesting, and please, we wanted to know that we can participate in the development of your projects. We want that the space projects are really important for the regional integration. So thank you again, and we hope you have a lot of success in your work. Thank you very much.
Me dicen que llegó la
And they'll tell me that we got the ambassador from Italy, so we can give her the floor. Okay, ambassador, so great that you joined us. So we leave the floor to the ambassador of Italy. Valeria Viaggiotti.
Buenas tardes, señora general, señoras.
Good afternoon to all the authorities, dear guests. I'm really sorry that I just got here, but the Defense Ministry visited our stand in Italy, from Italy. So I just wanted to greet you on behalf of the Italian government in this third meeting of the space agencies of the IILA member countries. This is one of the most important ones in the for the Latin American countries. And we have also several Italian companies involved. I'm really glad, even more, that it's an event carried out by the international organization IILA, the International Italy-Latin American Organization, that was founded in Rome in 1966. And for us, it's an instrument that it's huge for strengthening the relationships between Italy and Latin America. And I'm really thankful for Antonella Cavallari, the Secretary General, and everyone is in here for promoting this event. Of course, the authorities from Chile as well. In this sector, Italy can contribute with really qualified knowledge, because we've achieved excellency levels internationally, and we have this efficient synergy between industries, academic institutions, and the research centers, along with IILA. It's a really important pillar for the Italian space policies, Italian Space Agency. It's an organization that is projected not only for research, scientific research and from the space, but also towards the international collaboration. And we're really glad that an important part of representative of the agency with their president is present here for this event. And we really hope that this can contribute and provide an opportunity for following the development of the bilateral relationships between Italy and Chile in this sector. Thank you so much for your attention.
Con las palabras de la excelentísima embajadora de Italia, Valeria Viaggiotti, damos por concluido.
After the words of the governor of Italy, we finished the third meeting of the space agency of the IILA member countries. Now we continue with the regional space program. Chile has geographic, social, economic, industry, and technological characteristics that provide a context of big challenges related with public problems on the management of the territory. They incorporate also the specific regulations and policies in the space environment together with the budget framework, people and institutions related with science. We look for creating value throughout the implementation of a national space strategy that allows Chile to be a regional space technological scientific Development Department, Mr. Yerko Benavides.
O ese ahí mismo. ¿Está listo? ¿Sí?
Bueno,
Well, as I said before, I welcome the regional governors in here from Bio and other areas. Space is a space for democracy and it's a space for decentralization. And that's how the regional governors have understood it. And the Ministry of Defense also said that we are clear on what it means to be present along the country and that the solutions are not standard. What it works for Arica is not the same solution that it works for Punta Arenas. We need to make a difference, and that's what we're doing, to use all the tools that we have at hand, especially the space, to solve the demands of the regions and to move forward with everything that the population needs. And we're doing that not ourselves as a centralized government, but also with the support of the regions and their governors. That's why we are here together to think in the space, to think in the solutions that will take us to continue with the development of the country. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your words. And now I'll leave the floor. We have two representatives of the regional government. So I would like to invite the Magallanes governor, Jorge Mauricio Flies. And governor, once we finish with the governors, we have the official picture with all the authorities. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'm glad to greet you. Thank you so much to General Size for the invitation. And thank you to the Air Force, the institution. And congratulations, because you were on anniversary, right? Moving close to the 100 anniversary. And this will be an air and space agency. That's the future. Greetings to General Rodriguez and the whole institution that provides prestigious importance to the country and is important internationally. Thank you very much to Mr. Yerko Benavides, a friend that we've walked along this path in space, and through you, the management that the Ministry of Defense, it's been working together to move forward with all of this. I really hope to be brief because of the time that we have available, but I would like to mention what the space development means, where Chile is right now. We have two political important processes, Frustro and another one that is called Avante, and that are moving forward in good conditions. We have a constitutional process 2 times that it was not backed up by the community, and the other process that we had in the region was the constitution of the regional governments. Chile is moving forward to change in a decentralization process, where Chile is one of the most centralized countries, and after 200 of republic, it's the first time that we have serious policies against centralization. And I would like to mention that as a regional government from Magallanes and the Chilean Antarctica and the most southern part of the country, we have the advantage of the space, because in maps we show at the end of the map, but in space we are on the summit, right? And we understand that our main worry is climate change. We all notice this with the different temperatures in this autumn or fall in Santiago, right? Imagine the temperatures in Magallanes. But we're looking up in space, and our new only natural vessel is this planet. So Antarctica has been having really important changes in temperature, and it's been reflected in floods in the northern part of Chile. Every time we have 17 degrees in Escudero base in Antofagasta, we have floods in Antofagasta. And as the Antarctica people says, what happens in Antarctica, it doesn't stay in Antarctica. We have air conditioning. Antarctica is the air conditioning system of the planet, so we need to understand and pay attention to what it means, and that's what the advantage is in space science. As you may know, Chile knows that we have 70% of the ice for the space. And since we're close to Antarctica, it positioned us in a privileged position for research. The mining work for changing the energy from copper to lithium, we also have it in this country. And also, the Magallanes region and Antofagasta region is in a transformation process that is massive to provide with hydrogen, green hydrogen, to the power. And in 10 years, we think that it'll be the GDP will be 13% in the country. And in that context, the space is important because we're close to the pole, and we have hundreds of satellites where the European Center is researching on top of our territory. That's why the National Space Agency, through the Ministry of Defense, put their eyes in Concepcion and other areas of the countries. In here, my friend Rodrigo Diaz knows, and in Punta Arenas as well. Magallanes and Antarctica, Chile and Antarctica is developing together with the Ministry of Defense and the Chilean Air Force a space center with more than 6,000 square meters, where we'll have air and space safety in monitoring. We have an important support that is covered with fiber optics, with 5G in the whole region, including Antarctica, with the Chilean Antarctica. And we don't have the Undersecretary of Communications here, but we're developing the fiber optics towards Antarctica. That's the first attempt in the planet to get fiber optics to Antarctica. That's why we're willing to keep on working on geoscience, oceanography, and also, why not, telecommunications. And perhaps in some years we can have this space observation from our country, from this small country at the end of the world. Challenges of the 21st century are and will be knowledge. If the country has no knowledge, will be doomed to be a country, an third world country or underdeveloped country. And my friends, as General Saez, Jerko, and Rodrigo, I'm a physician. And I only want to give my example. A hospital that I've been directing in the southern area of Chile, whenever everything gets complex, because in space science, it gets complex with intelligence and science. With this, all the system changes. If Chile gets more complex and we have air and space science, we'll clearly be able to watch with better eyes and better hope for the 21st century. So without a doubt, I invite you for the biggest region. And since we have our colleagues in here, one of the most beautiful ones in the country. Thank you so much.
I would like to thank the Magellan governor. It is a very big challenge that you have the Bio governor, Rodrigo Diaz. The challenge is for you. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank Jericho and representative IALA and General Size. And I would like to welcome you all, friends, governor, ambassadors, and everyone here. I thank you all the opportunity of being here. Maybe just a few people know what a regional government is in the Chilean way. In the Chilean way, that said, in the easiest terms, a regional government is a person who has the ability to solve three matters. One of them is planifying where the region is going. The second is to assign budget, the own budget for that was planified or planned. And third is to represent the interests of the citizens. Those are the three main characteristics of our regional government. We do this in a framework of a country that's a unit, that work as a unit. That's Chile, but the fact of having the liberty of being able to solve how we want to use our territory or what activities we want to perform here to give to sustain our citizens, and having the resources available in order to do that gives us a lot of opportunities. Allow me to tell you a brief story. At the beginning of the 20th century, in an act of rebellion from a region, the Bio region, in the 19th century we didn't have much luck. We lost some wars, but illegally, maybe it worked without permission, the University of Concepcion, and after a while we were able to work under the University of Chile, and then we were independent. That was during the first decade of the 20th century. By the end of that century, something very important happened: an earthquake in year 1939, which destroyed most of the south of Chile, and that happened at the same time of the Second World War. And that's allowed for the industrialization and creation of a lot of industries in Chile. Concepcion is one of the last industrial zones outside Santiago. After the inauguration of this activity, I had to go with some members of the metalworks Huachipato because we have a lot of disloyal competency from some imported goods. But what's going to happen is that exponentially this industrial sector that now is represented at 25% of the GDP of the region is going to start decreasing. But the service sector will maintain or will start growing. This will create a disbalance because the industrial sector grows alongside the service sector. A third effort, a historical effort, has to do with the region that's very significant, is linked to the decision taken by Chile by the end of the 50s of last century. That was creating a secondary economical activity. The second copper, as Salvador Allende said, is the forestry area, and the Bio region is the forestry region of the country. All of the presidents of all political sectors reinforce this, and now this is a key activity for us. Why is Rodrigo talking about this? That has to do with his region. Well, that's because our source of productivity has been shifting, and the industry has been losing weight. The traditional industry has been losing weight, and the service industry is increasing, and we need to diversify our activities so that the almost 2 million that live in this region are able to sustain themselves and retain talent in a part of the country that's found in the geographical center of continental Chile, because the center of the entire Chile is Punta Arenas, but in this place, in Concepcion, there's a lot of opportunities in ports, universities, fresh water. It is the biggest port in Chile. There are several ports located in our region, and that's why I think that we can manage to do this in 2 years. Anytime Jerko wants to do it, I invite him to work with us. We like creative industries, we like music, we like rock. We are able to planify or to plan what we want to do and put our money on it. And secondly is aerospace industry, which is what brings us today here. I think that thanks to the University of Concepcion that educates space engineers, we have maybe not all of you know about it, but we have a university selection system that has grades from 1 to 8,000. The person that has less, the people, the students that enter this program have 860 points at least. So this is the elite. What we have in our region is critical mass, and we have a lot of important services installed throughout the region that might be able to enrich and help the country in all the efforts they're doing nowadays. This is our strength, and I think that we can find a way of complementing the service industry, because we can create agricultural sediment, for example. What happens with the fishing sector? That's also very important in our region, and also analyzing the risk of this of natural disasters. This is something that will allow us to look forward into the future in the way of those who created or built up the University of Concepcion during the last century. We still have this idea of space development in our regional development plan that is that we are boosting towards the year 2030. This is one of our objectives. So we do everything fully with all our enthusiasm, and I would like to thank you for allowing us to take place in this summit, the version 2024 of this summit. What do you think about taking the official picture? General, Mr. General, would you like to say your good?
Gracias a todos quienes que nos han acompañado.
Thank you all for accompanying us, mostly those who come from very far away and other countries, other regions. Probably for a lot of you, you're wondering why the IILA is taking part in the Space Summit. Why do we take a special consideration with the regions? Well, it's because why do we have a space program? Well, a space program is like a highway. This highway that we as a country have decided to build up is something that we've been creating to boost our development. This highway is something that we're building by stages, where nowadays we're during the first stage with our satellite program and our first space center in Santiago. We also have a second highway that is the communication satellite system. The project is already finished. We're in the phase of it being approved. Maybe in the midterm it will be approved. And lastly, our third highway is our regions. We have the Magellan region, the Biobío region, and those are the fundamental pillars of this program. We also have the program of talent boost, of having technical or scholar programs, having undergraduate and postgraduate programs in the aerospace field, because space is very cross-sectional. We are at Fidae, we are the Air Force, well, IILA and these regions are the motors of our plane. This is a bimotor plane. This is a program that won't be able to be launched if we do not follow the two main principles. One of them is international collaboration. That's why the Chilean space program is also aiming at being a regional space program. We have the will and the necessity of cooperating with our neighbors. These qualities that we want to incorporate in our country is something that we want for all these countries to have available, because the talent is everywhere. All the countries need a development program, and because the will in our countries being a good neighbor and collaborating towards the development of South America. Our second motor are our regions. Anytime there's there's been a legal change that hadn't happened in 200 years. So without this collaboration and without digital integration and without international collaboration, this is something that will not be able to be launched. It will not take off. We have to incorporate the best talents from other regions and from our regions. There's no best way of taking advantage of resources than by collaboration. That's why we allow for them to happen, to be created, and to facilitate the collaboration because of the transactional aspect of space that maybe we do not have in other areas. We are very glad to having you with us. This is our third version of this Space Summit. We have a wide view of the current context. You are the best partners we could have. Thank you all so much. Okay, so we invite our general to the official photograph. We invite the representatives of the regions, and the ambassador from Italy, also the representative of the space program of Brazil. Please, the delegates of IILA, please come with us for the official photograph.
So let's give a round of applause. Thank you very much, and really thank all of our sponsors. And tomorrow we'll wait for you to start with the Latin American week for remote perception and the week of talents. Thank you very much in Portuguese. No, thank you everyone. To everyone